Tonight on CTV News, day 3 of a forensic scene examination following the death of a baby boy. And is it all but over for the Conservatives after the resignation of its Christchurch-based chairman? John Stringer is live.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Good evening. It's day 3 of a forensic scene examination following the death of a 15-month-old baby in Christchurch. The child was found at a property on Truman Road in Brynwah on Friday, unconscious and with unexplained injuries. Chelsea Daniels has the latest.
Police have spent a third day investigating the front yard of a house where a baby sustained serious injuries before dying in hospital on Friday night. A 12-strong police forensic team have been analysing the Brynwah house since then and are expected to complete investigations by tomorrow. An autopsy was made on the 15-month-old baby boy on Saturday, but police have not yet released the findings. Emergency services were called to the house behind me at 10:30 p.m. on Friday night. Inside, they found a 15-month-old baby with unexplained injuries. An adult male and female also live at the house and have been questioned, but police have also chosen not to reveal if the pair were the baby's parents. Police have not yet confirmed if they have spoken to the baby's parents. Cordons remain at the scene.
2 men who offered their boat to rescue a man stranded in Littleton Harbour have been thanked by police. The man had been shellfishing but lost his boat when the tide came in, stranding him on the rocks. Police say the man had a cell phone and was able to call police. But when police arrived, 2 locals managed to offer their used boat to rescue the man and his boat that was adrift to the harbour. Police say the incident is a timely reminder for water users to be prepared when boating. And another man had a very lucky escape today after emergency services plucked him out of the Waimakariri River. The man had been seen hanging onto a bridge pylon near the Northern Motorway just before 1 o'clock this afternoon after falling into the river. He was eventually rescued by the Coast Guard and police are continuing to investigate. Well, higher insurance premiums are expected under EQC's proposed changes, but homeowners have until about 2 months to tell the government what they really think.
Would you pay more money to EQC? Changes will be made to the Commission's policies, premiums and coverage following nearly 5 years of lessons learnt after the Christchurch earthquakes. It wants to exit from contents insurance, extend site works cover and double the building cover cap to $200,000. EQC also wants all claims to be lodged through private insurers and wants to only cover land damage if it breaks a house. But how much would all this cost policyholders? The government says the cost of any premium increases are yet to be worked out, but accepts premiums would rise under the new proposals. The proposal summary also seeks feedback on whether or not premiums should be regional specific, with higher risk properties or areas paying more than lower risk ones. The government says the proposals would better position homeowners, EQC and private insurers to plan for and recover from future natural disasters. It says that the Natural Disaster Fund, which funds EQC settlements, is working well and has no intention of axing it or finding an alternative insurance model. So now people can have their say on what they think and have until early September to submit their views to EQC. Once completed, an EQC reform package will be introduced to Parliament in early 2016.
It's hoped an increase in the cost of using parking meters in the city will stop motorists abusing the system. It will now cost you a minimum of $1 for car parking. But is that a bit much in a city that's trying desperately to get people back in? Here's Chelsea Daniels.
The council have caught on to the sneaky parkers taking advantage of the major difference in parking fines. They noticed people were putting as little as 10 cents in the meter, getting away with a $12 excess parking fine as opposed to a $40 fine for not buying a ticket at all. Now a minimum of $1 is required.
Simply putting 10 cents in the meter, it issues a ticket. That's really denying other legitimate users, particularly around the hospital, the right to be able to access those car parking spaces.
He says that the change is meant to make people more responsible about how they park in the city.
Well, the decision was made really in the best interests of the people that are coming into town to park for short periods. That's been the council's focus. is on prioritising short-term parking for customers and visitors to improve business vitality.
Paul says that the change follows a trend of other New Zealand cities who charge more than the $1 minimum that they're asking for.
It's quite common for other cities to have a minimum parking fee before the meter will issue a ticket. It's not unique to Christchurch.
Did this decision go out to public consultation?
No, this isn't just an operational decision. Again, we've got to be clear that we're not increasing the parking fee. This is merely looking at the minimum fee that the meter will take before it issues a ticket.
He says despite what people may think, the council only has the public's best interests at heart.
This is definitely not about gaining more revenue for the council. In fact, our KPIs aren't about revenue, they're about utilisation. So the more people we can get to utilise the car parks appropriately, the better we're performing in terms of our KPIs. So it's not based on revenue.
He also mentions other changes that benefit people parking in the city.
Some areas of the city we've taken out parking meters and it's now gone to all-day parking without paying any fee. Other parts of the city we've converted our parking meters so you can stay there all day for a fee. These types of things are all being done to try and encourage the vitality and try and encourage the recovery of the city.
So, what do you think of the increased minimum on parking fees in Christchurch?
I just think with the amount of time that a lot of people can spend in the city that I think overall it just becomes too expensive.
To be honest, I think it's actually a good idea. I think we need to get the cars out of the city so that we can make it more of a walking city like you see overseas.
Christchurch people don't like paying for parking, do they? And, especially when you go to the suburbs and, Riccarton and Eastgate and where it's free. I reckon they have to do something about parking.
Well, it's a lot less than I pay where I come from.
Me too. Whereabouts are you from?
The Gold Coast.
For 20 minutes, being from Auckland, I'd be happy to pay $1 for 20 minutes.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
I used to work with that guy. Well, still to come here on CTV News, former Conservative Party Chair John Stringer joins me next. Welcome back to CTV News. Well, investors will be lucky to get a fifth of what they're owed by the failed Hanover Finance company. In a statement today, the Financial Markets Authority says it will split $18 million between 5,500 investors. The figure is half of what the Financial Markets Authority had wanted in compensation. The payout only covers a period between 27 and 28. Hanover was found to have misled investors with documents and advertisements over a 7-month period. The payout excludes the other 10,000 investors who lost more than $530 million. The former Hanover directors have agreed not to act as directors again until 2018. The battle line between the Conservative Party, Colin Craig, that leader, and former board member John Stringer appears to be over for now. Mr Stringer quit from his self-appointed position as acting chair and board member over the weekend. So are the Conservatives dead in the water? John Stringer, Christchurch-based, joins me now. And good evening to you.
Good evening, Chris.
Why'd you quit?
Well, I thought it was important to maintain the neutrality of the Conservative Party board. It's not really fair for me to speak out against Colin Craig while I'm chairman of the board, which represents all the membership. So I felt, let's step back in the interim and then I'll speak freely about the nonsense that's going on behind the scenes.
So here's your chance. You quit because you want to say more about Colin Craig. Why now, and what else do you want to say?
Well, Colin Craig's not being truthful. There are a number of falsehoods being perpetrated. One of the really significant things is that Colin Craig has been suspended from the party, yet is using the confidential party database to write letters to members defaming me and others. He's done that 3 times now, and that will be subject to a complaint to the Privacy Commission.
So that's obviously a major concern for you. What else is it about Mr Craig? Because I would have thought his political career is almost over.
Well, this comes back to the central concern that the board had right at the beginning, that Colin Craig has no political acumen or any judgment. And after all this nonsense over the last 2 weeks, Colin Craig still thinks he can lead the Conservative Party, having resigned, having come off the board and having been kicked out of the party. I mean, he doesn't seem to have any awareness that his political currency is bankrupt.
Couldn't you have still said this and remained the chair?
No, I don't think that would have been fair. I think it would have compromised the ability of the board to work with the party secretary and the membership going forward.
Who's on the board now? I mean, is anybody left?
Yeah, there are four current board members, and other senior members of the party have put their hands up to come on the board, be nominated, and to flesh out the board even more. I'm prepared to come back, but at the moment I think it's best. I'm the only voice speaking out against Colin Craig. I'll take the heat, I'll take the hits, but let's let the board carry on and function with due process.
Now, is it true you appointed yourself as the chair?
No, that's not true. I was the only member of the board standing. I was elected through to 2016, and I de facto became the chairman of the board.
Because there was no one else around?
Well, Brian Dobbs resigned 6 o'clock the night before. Didn't tell me that Lawrence Day had resigned. I went to the board meeting as scheduled, and I gathered those senior party officials to come and reconstitute the board and go forward.
You say the reason why you resigned is so you can speak out about Colin. So let's just go back to that. So he's been using membership database to what? To spread what?
Well, he's written a letter about me to the entire party membership. On Saturday, he put a ballot out only to select members. All the people who've criticised Colin have been deleted, and they haven't got a ballot saying, please come back, Colin. I mean, that's been distributed using the party database. Now, that is absolutely wrong. It breaches both the Electoral Act and the Privacy Act. He shouldn't be using our intellectual property and our property to perpetrate his private citizen opinions about members of the Conservative Party.
You're still a member of the Conservatives?
Absolutely.
Right? Surely their brand is now tarnished. Why not just take yourself off?
Well, I think we can survive once Colin Craig's been removed. I mean, there are some other king hits to come yet, and I want to send a challenge out to the people still supporting him. After all the allegations, there is more to come. Colin Craig has got more to hide. It's coming out, and it will come out. The Conservative Party and the leadership and the governance, look, just remember, 11 of Colin's governing officials have resigned because of his behaviour and because we've seen the documented allegations about him that are still to come out. That should send warning bells and red flags to the party membership. And I'm saying...
You're saying tonight there are more allegations, serious allegations against Colin Craig to come out?
Yes, several of the board members have seen those documented. That's why they resigned. Nobody resigned from this party because I spoke out in the media following other members speaking out. Colin Craig is untenable as a political leader of anything.
But here's the weird thing. We've got a man who put his money where his mouth is. So essentially, can't you say that he was the person who started the Conservatives? So in a way, the Conservative Party is Colin Craig, in a way,
I've never accepted that. It's always been about... I mean, Colin said at the last conference, I sit here as the leader at the behest of the board. The board suspended him from the party and he's been kicked out. Now
But you have to accept the fact that Colin Craig and the Conservatives go hand in hand. When you think of the Conservatives, you think of Colin Craig. You can't get away from the Colin Craig factor.
I accept that point, yes, but there is a future for the Conservative Party without Colin Craig, and that's what I'm trying to achieve. I think there is.
Why do you say that with such certainty, given everything that's happened?
Well, because our constituency is consistent. We got almost 4% in the last election. We got a very good result in the first election in 2011 when we'd only been going a couple of weeks. I mean, that shows that there is a hardcore Conservative constituency in the New Zealand electoral spectrum, and that won't go away because of Colin Craig. They're committed to the principles and values of our party.
All right, John, you say there's more serious allegations that come out. Who will make those allegations then, and how will we know, when will they come out?
Well, I know that the media have got them and they're waiting to release them. However, we're trying to resolve the legal issues around the confidentiality. Colin Craig wants to lift the confidentiality. Why hasn't he lifted it? What is he hiding? If he wants it lifted, he's already breached that confidentiality with Rachel McGregor. So my challenge to Colin Craig tonight is, Colin, just release all the information. If you're innocent of all these claims, you've got nothing to hide. You've breached it already. There's nothing to be lost.
John Stringer, appreciate your time tonight.
You're welcome, Chris.
Thank you. And we'll follow that story with great interest here at CTV News. Well, we've heard from local residents. Now, businesses have joined the growing chorus of those getting more and more frustrated at the bad smell in Bromley.
Living Earth have responded to the community's concern about odours in the area. They say Christchurch City Council has recently made a major investment in sophisticated odour detection technology that will assist in recording the odour plumes from the organics processing plant. This will allow objective odour measurement and will confirm whether they are responsible for the bad odours in the area. The Hagley Ferrymead Community Board held a meeting this week and sought information about what types of odours can be smelt and the impact on the families in the area. 25 residents from Bromley, Linwood and Woolston have banded together to protest against the reeking odours they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. They will now record the bad smells on a daily basis and will bring their summaries back to the next community meeting. Christchurch branch manager Daniel O'Connell also said that only one odour complaint against Living Earth has been logged in the last 15 months. However, he says that the majority of the complaints over the last 2 years have only come from 2 households. We spoke to Chief Executive Judy Sefton of EcoDrop about the issue and whether their transfer station is a part of the problem. She says that she is aware of residents making complaints in the area and agrees that it is difficult to identify one key source. Nevertheless, she says, the estuary, in my personal opinion, has been the biggest contributor to objectionable odour since the earthquakes. EcoDrop's Sefton says the plant has not yet received any odour complaints and was not made aware of the concerns brought up at the community board meeting earlier this week, as they weren't invited.
There are areas within Bromley and Woolston that are industrial areas, but the odours do travel into the residential areas, and the consents don't allow for that. Any offensive odours are supposed to stay on site.
And a spokesman from the wastewater treatment plant says it's only received 2 complaints this year, and he says both were resolved quickly. Well, still to come here on CTV News, streaming live at ctv.co.nz, your local weather and sport. Welcome back to CTV News. Some rebuild news now. Despite some funding setbacks, the Christchurch Art Gallery says it's still on track to open later this year.
Don't worry about the money. The Christchurch Art Gallery will still open to the public on time. The rebuilt gallery is still due to open before Christmas, after $56 million worth of earthquake repairs are completed. Gallery director Jenny Harper says there will be a staggered move-in for staff, but all exhibitions will be open to the public. The need for additional funding was called for this week at Council, but Harper says the request comes as little surprise, and she is more than confident the money will be forthcoming. There may not be an open cafe before 2016, as the repairs to the building's facade are still weather dependent. The car park and underground workshop will probably be the last areas of the gallery to open, as the area is being earthquake strengthened with base isolation. Harper says the new opening will herald in a summer of art.
And now here's Gordon with a roundup of the weekend sport.
Hayden Paddon has continued his rich run of form in the World Rally Championship with a 4th place finish at the weekend's Rally of Poland. The Flying Kiwi put in one of his most consistent drives to date, easily setting the quickest times of the Hyundai drivers, with Paddon finding himself in 5th spot after the first full day of rallying. Paddon was then able to match that early pace on day 2 to consolidate his position before this morning's final 2 stages of the event saw him move ahead of Finland's Jari-Matti Latvala to claim 4th position overall. The impressive result comes on the back of Paddon's breakthrough performance in Italy, which saw him finish 2nd in the World Championship event. The next stop on the WRC calendar is the world-renowned Rally of Finland, which gets underway at the end of the month. To club rugby now, and there may still be one round to be played, but this year's semi-finalists for the Hawkins Trophy have been found. Hawkins Cup winners Lincoln University assured themselves of a home semi-final when they defeated fellow semi-finalists Marist Albion 38 points to 16. They will be joined in the playoffs by Christchurch and New Brighton, who both had wins in their respective games, leaving this weekend's last round-robin games to decide how the top 4 will match up for the following week. To ice hockey, and the Canterbury Red Devils came back with one win from their road trip to Dunedin over the weekend. Saturday's opening game against the Dunedin Thunder went down to the wire, with the Red Devils taking the lead with just 90 seconds remaining in the match, eventually winning 6-4. Earlier in the game, Chris Eden was the star for the Red Devils, scoring a second period hat-trick to give his side the advantage. Sunday's match saw the Thunder get revenge, with Czech import goaltender Jacob Proctor stealing the show, making an incredible 70 saves on 72 shots to help get Dunedin the win 3-2. The two sides will continue the southern rivalry this weekend, with Dunedin travelling north for a double-header in Christchurch. And finally tonight, the Mainland Tactics have secured another key player ahead of next season's Trans-Tasman netball competition, with recently named Silver Ferns shooter Bailey Mez committing to the team for next year. Mez becomes the 6th player to recommit to the franchise, joining Zoe Walker, Maui Kumwenda, Gemma Hazeldine, Nicola Mackle and Olivia Coughlin. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Findlater for CTV Sport.
Thanks, Gordon. Now time for your region's weather.
Kia ora Canterbury. Well, the weather came out really nice for most places for the first day of the school holidays today. However, we are expecting it to get a lot colder in the next coming days. Let's take a look at today's highs though. Twizel on 7 degrees, everywhere else 11 degrees for you. Heading to central Canterbury now. Christchurch, Akaroa and Leeston all on 11 degrees. A little bit warmer for Darfield on 12. 10 degrees for Ashburton and Methven. Looking further north, Kaikoura 13 degrees for you and Amberley and Rangiora, 12 degrees for Cheviot, 10 degrees for Hamner Springs and Oxford, and Culverden, you were on 11. Over to the Alpine region now, Lake Tekapo, 6 degrees for you today. Let's take a look at tomorrow's temperatures for the major centres. We're expecting a southwesterly change to come through tomorrow, bringing cooler temperatures, 8 degrees for Timaru, a few cloudy patches as well. Looking to Ashburton, a very similar picture, 8 degrees, and these southwesterlies are coming through, really bringing these temperatures down. Over to Christchurch, we're seeing a little bit of rain here, even maybe a few sleety showers in the evening for Christchurch, 8 degrees for you as well. Over to Kaikoura, cloudy patches and rain for you tomorrow, 7 degrees, so a little bit cooler for you. The cold temperatures are definitely coming through tomorrow, but let's take a look at other areas. Twizel, 4 degrees for you, pretty chilly. Temuka and Geraldine, 7 for both of you. To central Canterbury now, Akaroa on 8 degrees, 9 degrees for Leeston and 7 for Methven and Darfield. Those southwesterly winds coming through for all of these places as well. Looking further north, 7 degrees for Cheviot, Hamner Springs and Culverden. Again, those southwesterlies coming through. A little bit of rain there for Oxford on 7 degrees. And over to the Alpine region, 4 degrees for everyone here tomorrow. Taking a look at the upcoming days now. Wednesday, it's only getting colder. We're seeing the potential for snow to come through for Ashburton and Christchurch, expecting that in the morning and the evening. Flipping over to Thursday now, it is looking a little better. However, temperatures are still cold. Christchurch still expecting a little bit of snow and maybe some sleety showers for you. Looking to the other areas for the upcoming days, across the board we're seeing these southwesterly winds coming through, a few snowy areas potentially for a few places, a lot of sleety showers we're probably going to see. For Thursday's outlook, it is looking a lot better. However, we're still seeing these southerlies coming through. It is still going to be pretty chilly on Thursday, so we're going to need our winter woolies for those days. So as we can see over the next coming days, we are expecting it to get a lot cooler, so make sure you're prepared for that snow if it does come. For now though, that's your weather update for Monday.
Thanks, Mercy. Chilly indeed. And that is CTV News for Monday. Have a great evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.